Hey guys, Casper here, and we're here to take another look at our materials section of our goodies bag in the create mode. So let's head on over there and check it on out. Alright, welcome to create mode, and we've moved into Andy's room here to do some playing around. So this is from the Toy Story DLC. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our goodies bag. We're going to pull ourselves out some basic cardboard. We're going to make it static as opposed to dynamic and grab a square. So pretty simple stuff so far. So what we want to talk about today is something called the grid. So in this mode here where I've got, this is kind of your default mode. You've got a piece of material, you can move it all around. You can basically make it as big as you want, as small as you want, turn it at any angle you want, and everything's pretty freeform. But if you really want to make something that's more exact, we can always pull up our options menu with our options button. And then we drop down one from where it starts, where it's on change to play mode. We'll drop down to where it says grid snap right here. So we've got three options here, actually four. We've got no grid snap, which is where we are. We've got a small grid, medium, and large. So let's start with large. So here now, suddenly we've got this grid that appears in blue around everything that we're doing. And what this does is it actually snaps your part to that grid. So if I were to move my piece here a little bit, it actually snaps to this grid. Even when I turn it, it will snap. Push it up, it'll snap. And if I resize it, it will, hold on, there we go. It will snap to these squares. So now everything I do has to be within these squares, which is great when you want to build, let's say we want to build a set of steps. So we just make some steps. There we go. Except I made them too tall. So the good thing about the grid though is you come back in here. And there we go. I added a new step and it fits exactly in with my old steps. I don't have to worry about player not being able to jump up my steps because I know exactly how big they're going to be. The other good thing you can do is, let's actually take a square here. This one we're going to make a dynamic piece out of. And I'm going to put a square here. So now I've got an empty space right here underneath the step, and I'm going to tuck this guy in here. And I'm going to push the X button, and then I'm going to push the O button. And I'm not going to back all the way out. Or I will, and we'll see that it's not connected. So I back all the way out, but I'm on pause here. So what we see is that we've got a square here, but it's not really connected. It's kind of got a little space around it here, and that means that if we want to put something that's right next to something, but we don't want it to actually be part of it, it's very difficult to do when you don't have the grid. But when you have a grid like this, we can just put another piece in the square, and if we don't drag it over, it won't connect. So I'll show you an example of what I mean by dragging it over. So if I were to put that square here, and then I drag up, then it becomes part of the steps. But since I didn't drag up on this one, it does not. Now if I were to unpause here, there we go. That's not a part of it. So we'll rewind here, and then I'm actually going to turn off my grid because the grid is not, it's great for material use, but it's not real good for when you're using things out of your tools bag like pistons and winches, because then it'll only let you attach to the very corners. So we'll go here. It probably won't let me attach to the floor, so let me actually we will make this static. I'm going to shrink this down quite a ways. There we go. Alright, now I'll put piston right there. I will attach it to right here. And we'll see what that does. Alright, well, it doesn't move very far, so let's change the settings on this a little bit. There we go. See, so now we've got something where the edge of this square here moves exactly up right to here. So if I were to stand on here, well, it's probably not very strong, but it would actually squish somebody if we made it so that it was a very powerful piston. Somebody would get squished, so they'd have to make for a good obstacle or, you know, an elevator or something like that. So that's kind of a cool thing about our grid. The good thing about a large grid is you know that somebody's going to be able to jump up the distance of a large grid. Now let's pull up a medium grid piece once for a second here. And we can leave it on static. Change my grid to medium. So now one thing about medium to take note of is that one big square takes 4 medium squares to make. So I'm going to jump up, and so you can see if I increase the size 1 square, so it's a 2 by 2, it's actually a 1 by 1 of our big square here. So, and the small square actually fits 4 inside of a medium square, so it actually fits 16 inside of a big square. So we'll bring this down to 1. So now I've got 1 big square and 1 medium square, and this is about the most that a sack person can jump up onto. So you just barely got up there. So if you want to make kind of a challenging jump, you can do a medium and a large, but if you're making a set of stairs, you don't want somebody to have to super jump every step to get up to the top. So that's something to take note of. Another thing to keep in mind is that if we go back to the big squares, looks like that's part of Andy's room over there. Let's move over here. Go back to big squares. Is that a sack person can jump 5 squares over. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I mean, if you're used to Minecraft and that type of thing, Minecraft person probably can jump maybe, I don't know, 4 of those blocks if they do a super jump. But here in LittleBigPlanet, now I'm not going to be able to jump over to that block from here because you actually have to get a good running start to be able to do that. So let's just kind of show and prove that that is the case here. So we'll see. And now another cool thing is that I know that since I put this here, that my piece that was already here is not going to be interfered by the blocks that I just laid down here, because it fits exactly in there. See how that works? So let's take a running start. Oh, and he didn't make it. So we'll try it one more time. We won't waste the whole video. And there we go. So it's like a very challenging jump is 5 squares. Not as challenging, but still pretty challenging jump is 4 squares. So I'd probably suggest that for your level. Otherwise people might get a little frustrated thinking that they can't get that far, but that's a good sized jump right there. A little easy. Maybe if you did 1.5, then you'd have to switch to medium squares. So let's do that once, see how that works out. There. So now we've got 4.5 blocks, and that's still pretty. If you've got something dangerous in there, maybe you could. See there, I missed. So anyway, that's a couple things to keep in mind. There's also a number of squares. You can test this out, but like if you wanted somebody to be able to jump up and grab onto something, I think it's like 5 medium squares. They can still jump and reach. See, I'm on medium right now. Let's pick a material that we can grab. Sponge. And we will make it so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll go 6. Alright, so 5 squares, he grabs right on. 6 squares, he can't grab. See, so there you go. So if you want to make it just a grabbable surface, it's got to be 5 squares up. So you can do some tests of your own with this. Another cool thing that you can do with the grid is like I did in that last, in my introduction video, is you can make, let's actually get it to small. So you can make kind of layers. So we make a background layer, and we shrink it down one, and we come up a layer. We can do stuff like that. We can bring it up another layer. Let's say we shrink it down here. So you can make some pretty cool 3D effects, and you can keep everything at kind of a nice optical look to it. So we come up here again, we shrink it down another notch. You know, so you can make a lot of cool architecture. You can make like gateways and doorways and things like that. And you can just start using all the levels that they give you here in LittleBigPlanet3. So that's a couple cool things that we can do with grids. I'm sure we'll start addressing some of the more detailed things that you can do as well, but that's a good general overview, and we'll see you next time. And if you like the video, be sure to like it and subscribe for more videos. We'll talk to you later. Bye.